So you guys, welcome back. I have another special guest who was on the podcast before, and she sells real estate in Hawaii. Lucky her. We're all having to sell real estate in, I would imagine, markets not as glorious as Hawaii. But Marlene, welcome back to the show, my friend. Oh, did I lose you?
Hi.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, you got me. Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, so the internet cut out, but you're back now. All right, so welcome back for round two.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was coming, so I had to make sure I hit it.
I love
this year.
I love it. Well, let's talk about it. That's why I wanted to have you back on the show, because for those of you, we did an interview. How long ago has it been since the last time we did this?
It's actually been less than a year. I think we did it in December.
Okay. So yeah. December, and we're doing this now in early September, right? So about 9 months later. So that'll give the audience, Marlene, a little context, right? So when I first had you on the podcast, we talked about, that was when you first got started in the business. Is that right?
Right. Yes.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So
I want to walk people through the transition from, just the journey from December to where we're at today, and what your real estate business looks like today, and just how you've been able to grow this business. Because I understand your husband works with you now too, as well. Correct?
Yes.
I love it. All right. So why don't we start with, right at the beginning, right? So the last time we spoke, you were doing really good for sale by owners. That's okay. Don't worry. It's all good. What lead sources are you guys focused on now?
So, I mean, as everyone knows, the market's been really hot. So, the for sale by owners have been just selling on their own. I've gotten listing appointments, and then they said, "Hey, Marlene, no need. We accepted an offer ready." So it was a really stressful time because I was focused on for sale by owners. And it's actually why I joined the group, but I had to change my mindset, because I was thinking in a scarcity mindset. I was thinking, oh, I should only attack for sale by owners, but this group offered so much more, lead sources. So I changed my lead sources to for sale by owners, to just cold calling, everyone and everything. But yeah, I did a few for sale by owner transactions in the very beginning. And I actually have some numbers that I wanted to share that I just jotted down. So just from for sale by owners, being in the business for less than a year, I've generated $51,000.
Wow.
In GCI. And then from cold calling alone, I've generated about $98,000. So about $100,000.
That's phenomenal. So you have, just by picking up the phone and calling people that you don't know, through the new skill set that you've learned, you've been able to generate, is it almost $50,000 in your less than your first year in real estate?
Yes, that's my GCI. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's phenomenal, because so many people get in this industry, Marlene, as you probably know, and they want to make the magic $100,000 a year. You've been able to do that not only in less than a year, but in your first year in the business. So let's talk about, I guess, your mindset of how you're able to go out there and pick up the phone and call people that you don't know to generate business, where so many realtors are so scared of that. Can you walk us through how you're able to overcome the fear and make it happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I still get scared. I'm sure everyone does still get scared, but I just come more towards a value mindset, just like you taught us, you taught your students to just provide value. And I feel that them listing with me, I'm valuable, and I'm helping them. So coming from that value mindset, you're not bugging them, you're helping them. So that's actually helped me overcome my call reluctance in many ways.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you're exactly right. I think you're right. A lot of people, if they're new to sales, especially, but new to real estate, they think reaching out to people is bugging them. You're reaching out from the standpoint of, hey, are you looking to sell? And if so, it might make sense for us to get together. And then when you say providing value, I want to hear your definition of it, because mine's maybe the same, but I want to, because so many people are like, well, what does that mean? Like, can you walk us through from your own words, when you say provide them value, what does that mean to you?
Just being a resource for them. Hey, do you have any questions? And not just seeming like I just want to get the business. Of course, I want to get the business, but I want to see them succeed in any way. So providing value, giving them updates about the market. Hey, this is what's going on. Did you have any offers? There were this many open houses in your area. So that's what I think is providing value for them.
Yeah. And I would just add to that, like, and I'm sure you would probably agree, you take the approach, and it's what I teach everybody, to act as their real estate agent before you're their real estate agent, so that when the day comes where they decide to hire one, you're the obvious choice. Is that the approach you take?
Yes, 100% actually. I didn't think about, but that is.
That's exactly what you're talking about. When you're talking about providing value, you're treating people like clients before they're clients. So they understand if they do hire Marlene, wow, we would love to work with you because we already know what it's like working with you because you've already been serving us. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. Yes.
Cool. So, all right. So you're working for sale by owners, you're doing circle prospecting. Let's talk about that for a second. I want to unpack that. So are you calling around listings that, are selling with multiple offers, or how are you building the list? I want to talk about that first. Like, how do you figure out who to call? Because most new agents are like, well, who do I call? Then we'll talk about what you say. But let's first off really, really go deep on how do you create the list?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So I call around my neighborhood, and then I call absentee owners. We have a lot here in Hawaii, as you can imagine.
Yep.
And I call hot neighborhoods. So neighborhoods that I see that have a lot of listings, or just I call hot neighborhoods, and I get the list from my escrow company. And then
Perfect.
I hand it to some guy that I have in Fiverr, and he gives me the phone numbers. I plug it into Mojo Dialer, and then that's it. And then I just start calling.
Awesome. All right. So you're calling in your neighborhood where you live because you don't want anybody in your hood, right? Like you want to list all your own houses.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. Then you're calling one of the best listing lead sources right now, which is absentee owners. And then thirdly, you're calling hot neighborhoods. And I get it. But to define that for the audience, that means you're calling through neighborhoods where every time there's a house that gets listed there, buyers like gobble it up. Like they just go there because they just want to be there so bad. So if you get a listing there, it's gone with multiple offers. Is that what you mean by hot neighborhood?
Yes, correct. Yes.
All right, cool. Have you really tracked your numbers for the $100,000 you've created doing that alone this year? Do you have any more detailed numbers that you could share with us, like with how many dials it took, how many conversations, how many appointments, stuff like that?
I actually don't. I need to get on that because I feel that would motivate me even more,
Yes.
just knowing that, okay, X amount of calls and then I get an appointment. But I do have a goal that I try to make 10 contacts a day for my cold calling.
I
So,
love it.
and a contact for me is getting through the script and getting someone's email information.
Wow, that's strong. I mean, that's a strong definition of a contact because I thought you were going to leave it at getting through the script, because I define a contact as having a conversation about selling real estate, regardless of what happens. But you don't count it as a contact unless you get the outcome of generating a lead and they go into your database.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
That's correct.
wow. So, all right, hold on. This is a really key moment in this interview, because let's talk about what that actually means. That means that let's look at, okay, how long does that typically take for you to accomplish the goal of 10? I'm going to call them leads because these are people are going into the CRM, correct? They're going into the database.
Right.
All right. In order to do that, how long does that usually take, roughly?
4 hours.
Okay. And it takes 4 hours because you're probably talking to 30 to 40 people to yield you 10 opportunities. Is that right?
Right. You're talking to people or you're just not getting picked up on.
Yeah, exactly. You're making up on calls, right? And what I always tell everybody is here's the numbers and how they usually work. For every 60 minutes of making outbound prospecting phone calls, you should be able to have 10 conversations. So watch how the numbers just played for you. It's taking you 4 hours. Okay. So you're probably talking to in that 4 hours of making outbound calling attempts through Mojo is what you're using, correct?
Mm-hmm.
On the triple line dialer or single line? Triple line dialer, you are typically having 30 to 40 conversations in that 3 to 4 hours, which is that 10 contacts per hour. And then from those conversations, from conversation to lead generated, you're getting 8 to 10 per day. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that's a really good conversion rate. So now let's talk about how you're able to convert so high, because typically, Marlene, we see a 10% conversion from contact to lead generated. So in 4 hours of calling, what we like to see as an agent have 40 conversations and 4 email addresses. So I want to unpack, you're getting 10. So one of two things are happening. Either A, your skills have really got better in 9 months, which they probably have, and or I want to understand your definition of a lead and how somebody gets into the database. So first off, let's talk about skills. What are you saying to get these people to have a good conversation to essentially turn them into a listing? Because you've made $100,000 with a lead source that usually takes a long time to convert, like circle prospecting. You're able to convert, get listings, get them sold all within 9 months. So what are you doing?
I'm using your scripts, actually. That's what I'm doing, and I'm mastering it. I like your opening script that you just released.
I think it's the best opener ever. It's probably one of my best sales work. There's so much psychology in it. Can we role play it real quick, how you do it, and I'll role play it with you? Not to put you on the spot, but are you good with that? You comfortable with that?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Because I want people to hear this, because some of our coaching clients still fight me on this, but you're using it with great success. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I am.
All right. I want to hear how you deliver it, and then I'll share with you how I deliver it. So I'll be the prospect first. You be yourself, and then I'll role play it back to you. Ready? So ring, ring, ring. Hello.
Hello, Brandon.
Yeah, this is Brandon.
Oh, hey, Brandon. This is Marlene. I'm not too sure now is actually the right time, but I was, just hoping to tell you why I called. And then I guess, you can decide whether or not we need to further the conversation. Does that sound fair to you?
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. And the reason why it was so good is because okay, now I understand why you're getting these results. Your skills have come a long way. Most people, when they deliver it, especially in a role play, sounds so scripted. Like you're really good, because the way you deliver that, so many people listening to this, they won't get it, right? They'll look back at it, but once they really slow down and watch that rerun 10 times, there's a lot happening there. Like you're framing things, you're making it more conversational, you're pausing at certain areas, you're using downswings, you're using upswings, you're listening for personality styles, you're being curious, which intrigues the prospect. You're doing all of those things at once, correct?
Yes, it's very powerful, actually. And just mirroring matching. You said hello, right. So I said hello. If you said, hey, girl, I'd be like, hey, girl. Yep. So that's important too. And I feel matching people's energy, because when I get sales calls and like, hi, Marlene, just so hi. And I'm like, hello. Yeah. So mirroring matching is important. Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Like, it's a salesperson, and you get annoyed and you raise your level of resistance when, people aren't mirror matching. Right. So I'll just role play it back to you. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Marlene.
Yes.
Marlene, this is Brandon. I'm a local realtor, and I'm not sure now's the right time, but I was hoping to tell you maybe why I called, and then you can decide if we need to talk further. Fair enough?
Okay. Yeah.
And then it puts us in a position to ask essentially for what we want. So where do you take the conversation when you give the control back to the prospect and they say, yeah, sure, what's up? What do you take the conversation from there?
Okay. So sometimes people be like, okay. And I'd be like, yep. Okay, great. Just had to ask. I was just curious. Do you still own that property on Ava Drive?
I do.
Okay, great. Yeah. I was just curious if you'd consider selling that property while the market is so high, as I'm sure you're aware of. If you get a really good offer, and of course, if it made sense to you and your family.
Got it. I love it. So yeah, you're just nailing the script, and a lot of people are responding positively to that, obviously, right? Yeah, that's good. So of the listings you're getting through this strategy, how many come from true absentee owners versus the circle prospecting? That's the thing I'm really curious about. If you had to guess, the 100K with like non-FSBOs, where does it come from if you had to break it down?
So the 100K comes from circle prospecting, actually.
So no absentee owners at all.
No.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually I have one that I just signed yesterday. So one now.
Okay. So that's the call that I really want to share with the audience of like how you're essentially taking somebody who has not raised their hand. They're not an absentee owner. They're a regular homeowner, right? How are you able to convert these into listings? I believe so fast, because typically with circle prospecting, it takes 6 to 12 months of nurturing them because you're talking to them so up the funnel. But tell me your strategy and how you're able to convert these into listings so quickly.
Well, usually I'll ask, that question. I was just curious if you'd consider, and they'll be like, no. And I would ask, I feel that that's just an immediate response. And like, okay, so would you ever consider possibly selling in the future?
Yep.
And then they'll actually give you a little bit more truth. They'll be like, well, yeah, I have to, I actually have to move next year. I have a job in California. I'm PCSing, whatever it is. We actually have a lot of people that are moving in and out of the island.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So, now that makes sense. And the other thing that you probably have learned in doing this is what you just said, which is the first time a prospect gives you some type of objection, not to take it literally the first time, because that's just a reflex, correct?
Yes.
That's like walking in the department store and someone saying, how can I help you? And we always respond with, no, I'm just looking, right? That's the same thing. And then the person is at the cash register 90 seconds later buying something. It's like, I thought you were just looking. No, that was just a reflex. So that's what you're talking about. That's what we try to teach agents when they call. So, all right, that makes sense. So I think a big piece of this as far as next steps goes is when you generate the opportunity, right? And the person says, yeah, we're thinking about doing something in the future. Tell us your lead follow-up and how you're able to convert them into a listing appointment. This is where 90% of the industry is just dropping the ball. Like they just don't know how to follow up. They have no systems for it. So what do you do?
So I have been trying to hone on my systems because in the beginning, I feel like when you're a new agent, you're just scrambling and trying to figure out what do I do or what's my schedule. And so I just changed my CRM. I'm using Follow Up Boss now.
Love it.
And it doesn't matter what CRM you use. Like you said, it just as long as you use it. So I like Follow Up Boss. It's pretty for me. So I like to look at it. And I have an action plan that I created just for my cold calling. So I use the absentee owner script, and I'll ask them if they want a price analysis. So what I do is I send them a price analysis, and then I send a bomb with that price analysis. And I'm like, hey, it's Marlene. As promised, I have attached a price analysis to this email, as well as a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis. So you can see, what's going on in your neighborhood. I'll circle back with you in a few days and go over with more detail. So I'll send that out.
Yep.
Then I'll call them in a few days and I'll say, hey, did you get the price analysis? Just seeing if you had any questions on that. And then they'll say yes or no. And then from there, I'll kind of gauge if they're a long-term nurture or if they're a hot prospect by that second phone call. And then I'll change my strategy from there. If they're hot, then I'm calling them every few days. If they're long-term, then it's like 30 to 90 days.
Got it. I love it. And yeah, the bomb video is making you stand out. And the thing with this strategy is there's no competition like there is with the for sale by owner or an expired listing, where you have so many people going after the same opportunity. You probably rarely, if ever, have competition with going through this strategy. Am I right?
That's actually a really good question. So I don't have any so the resistance isn't as high when you're on the phone, but if they're getting ready to actually list, the competition gets pretty high. I've been in listing presentations where they're like, I've already talked to 5 realtors, so I don't really want to talk to another one, but then I just push for that appointment.
Yeah. And that's what's so interesting about our business is the further somebody is out from selling, the less competition. That's why so many agents go after for sale by owners and expireds, because they're all like the hot prospects, but it's very competitive. So I think you have a nice balance of both. And I love hearing the chickens in the background. That's great.
Sorry.
Are those yours? No, don't be sorry. I love it. Are those yours?
They're my neighbors. We have a lot of chickens in Hawaii. Yeah.
Do you get eggs for free?
No, we don't, but we do have an egg farm.
Okay.
A local egg farm. So it's cool. Yeah.
I love it. And the other thing I like about it, I guess I don't want to assume, but unlike going after maybe a for sale by owner or an expired where maybe to get a full commission is a lot harder. Are you finding that these are easier to get a full commission on?
Yes, 100%. Yes,
Yeah.
because with the first sale by owners, the reason why they're selling is because they want a lower commission. I mean, they don't want to pay commission usually.
Yep.
Not at all times, though.
Right.
Not all times. My first FSBO, he just, I don't know, his sister just threw it up there and he wanted to sell. He just didn't have a realtor at the time. And that was $1 million listing.
Yeah. So I would agree with you. I mean, this is why and that's why I'm so excited to be launching our new program, Listing Agent Academy, where we teach all of the lead sources and not just for sale by owners. Like, people know me as like the FSBO guy, but I'm like, dude, that's just a small little portion of like what your business can look like. And you said it at the beginning of the podcast, like you changed your mindset of like, you were just focusing on FSBOs and you're like, wait a minute. If I go after additional lead sources, and that's exactly what you've been able to do to take your income from 50K to 150K in less than 12 months. So that's great. Now I want to just now transition to the appointment. Okay. So we talked about generating the opportunity. We talked about lead follow-up. Now let's talk about lead conversion at the appointment. Can you give us a couple of tips or things that you do at the appointment to secure the listing?
So before I go on the appointment, I actually pre-qualify all of the prospects or the clients. So I ask them a list of questions before I go there. So I kind of know where we're at and what objections I need to handle at the listing. So did you want me to share with you some of the questions that I asked?
Yeah, I love it. And so are you using our upfront listing agreement pre-qualification or different questions? Let's talk about which ones you're asking.
I'm using ones from my previous broker.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. Let's hear them.
So I'm not too sure which one. I'm sure it's similar though. So I usually ask, what would you like to list your home for? Realistically ask that question because is price going to be a problem when we get in there? Yep. Are you interviewing more than one agent? And then, I just go down the list rating. Oh, how would you rate your house? What would you do to make it a 10? And then at the ending, which is my golden question is, Brandon, when I see you tomorrow and what if what I say makes sense and you feel that I can put the most money in your pocket, would you agree to list with me when we meet tomorrow at 6:00?
Love it. I love it. And what do people typically, how do they typically respond to that?
So yes, absolutely. And if it's a no, and it's a no, oh no, I'm still, I have other agents I'm interviewing, so I'm not going to sign tomorrow. So that tells me, okay, great. Well, let's move our listing appointment to next week. You meet with those agents and don't sign anything because I think that you can find value in what I offer. But just so you have something to compare it to, meet with those agents and I'll meet with you after.
Love it. Great strategy. I love it. All right, cool. So now you mentioned off air before we started the show that your husband's working with you. How has that dynamic been and what is he doing and what are you focused on?
That's a really good question. So my husband in the beginning, he hasn't given me any leads. So some people think that he's giving me leads because he's been in the business for 5 years, but everything that I've generated, it's been on my own. I've generated these leads, but I've used my husband as a resource. So when we go into listing appointments together.
Smart.
Because what I'm finding is it's usually husband and wife when we're going in. So it's like, I can build rapport with the wife. He can build rapport with the husband. And it's awesome because objection handling, I'll be like, Justin, do you want to answer that if I kind of get stuck? So yeah, having him is very, very valuable. He actually he's actually taking the FSBO course as we speak. So when I first started this, working with you, he was, encouraging for me, but he didn't, do any of the courses or, read any of the scripts. And, I didn't tell him to, but I feel that actions speak louder than words. He's seen me and my success. And, men, they don't like to be told what to do.
Egos.
Yeah. So I don't tell him like, you need to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, he's actually doing it and he's actually calling FSBO. So he's taking over the FSBO side now.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you're the way you're, it's so funny. Like you're so smart and intelligent and you really get it because it's like, yeah, your husband just saw you make 150K in 9 months, where I don't know what you were doing before real estate, but he's probably like, wow, maybe I don't know it all. Maybe my wife is the one that knows it all and I should be listening to her more, you know? And like you said, you didn't have to say a word, you know, you didn't have to say a word. It was just all your actions. And so, I mean, you deserve a lot of credit for what you've been able to accomplish. So good for you. Now, and that's a good segue and a good place for us to end. Let's talk about advice. You know, I think a lot of agents will watch this and really be inspired by like seeing what you've been able to do in 9 months. I'm telling you, there's hundreds of thousands of new agents in their first year, just like you, that are on the verge of quitting every single day that have made no money, like zero money. And you're sitting here doing this in 9 months, making 150. Where are you going to end up? Like with your pendings and closings, are you going to end up 175, 200?
Probably, yeah, probably close to 200.
Okay.
I'm going to hit 200 actually. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So what advice would you give to agents in their first year to duplicate your results?
The advice I would give is to be a hunter. Just keep hunting, keep looking for that next deal. Create a schedule. I have been into time blocking. So creating a consistent schedule of when you're going to call, and just pick up the phone and call. Even if you don't have it all together, you didn't memorize the script. I didn't memorize the script. I didn't even go through the whole FISBO program before I started going out. You learn what by doing. So just go out and just do it, and you'll learn from there.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Great advice. And then last question I have for you is what has been the biggest impact or takeaway or the biggest thing you've learned through the work that you and I have done together? Would you say, if you had to point it to one thing?
Ooh, that's hard because there's so much. The biggest thing, I think one of the biggest things that I learned right now, I would say, and this was to how to find leads. Honestly, that's really important. How to find leads, how to convert the leads. That's been huge. You know, when I entered the program, I actually used like my unemployment check to pay for this program. And
wow.
And I got my result. I got 10 times more than what I paid for. Even in the 30 days when I closed that $1 million listing, right there, I got my investment back, and I'm still getting my investment back. So I'm just forever grateful for this program.
Yeah, well, that means a lot. I mean, it really does. Like when you just said that, I mean, it was just like, gosh, this is just a good reminder for me of why I just keep pushing forward. And I just love your advice of like being a hunter. I think that's it. Like I always say that too. Like that's the thing that I think separates the people that win in this business and don't. And yes, it's a simple thing, but I think too many agents come into this business and they're waiting around, waiting for something to happen, waiting for people to call them. It's just never going to happen. Like if you're just not going to be a hunter and you cannot accept the fact that you have to go out there and talk to strangers and generate business, this is just not the business for you. And it's okay, but I think people have to accept that. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. And I wish you get $1 every time someone says they want to do real estate.
I know.
It's not what you expect it to be.
No, it's not. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. So are you guys talking about goals for 2022 yet? You and your husband?
We're actually transferring brokerages. So I'm at a weird place right now, just transitioning. But yeah, we want to double.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, what kind of, and I wanted to end it, but this is just a great conversation. Hopefully you have just another minute or two.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of lifestyle does that, give you guys in Hawaii if you're making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year? Like, could you explain to us that never been to Hawaii? Like, what is that? What kind of lifestyle would that provide you?
Hawaii is like super expensive.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So, you get to not have two jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really expensive. And our average single family is $1 million now.
Wow.
Yeah. So we get to live average lives, and I get to live where I've been born. So many people are leaving Hawaii. It's really sad because they can't afford to live here.
Okay.
Many Native Hawaiians. So this income that I'm having, I can stay where I'm at where I grew up.
That's amazing. And when you walk out of your home, like, are you right by the water? Like, could you see the ocean?
I'm actually 20 minutes from the ocean. I'm in the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What are taxes like on a regular single family? If it's $1 million to buy, what are the annual property taxes on that roughly?
Actually, annual property taxes are really low. We're like the second lowest in the United States.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think ours, where it's like 700,000. I think ours is like 1,600 a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
Our
right.
property taxes are low.
So that's good. So prices are high, but your taxes are low. Like we're in Michigan, $500,000 house taxes could be 12,000 a year, 1,000 a month just for taxes. Yeah. So that's an interesting,
Wow.
dynamic. So because it kind of offsets, so you can get a $700,000 house in Hawaii, but your taxes are only $2,000. Well, okay, that's kind of evens it out a little bit. What about insurance though? Is insurance very, very expensive because you're next to the water?
No, so I'm not next to the water.
Well, but for the people that are, I mean, or just
yeah,
generally,
yeah.
generally speaking, yeah. Tell me, like, what do you guys pay for homeowners insurance?
That's actually a really good question. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's 400 to 500, I think.
Oh my gosh. A month.
Or I don't know.
Okay, that's all right. I'd be curious to know, but cool. All right.
But yeah, when you're closer to the water, yeah, definitely you can pay a lot more.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Are you and your husband coming to our first live summit, October 28th, 29th? Come on. Where are you at, Marlene?
I really want to come. I live all the way in Hawaii.
I know. I'm just kidding.
No, I actually, yeah, I possibly might be there giving out macadamia nuts.
Oh, I love it. I mean, and if not this year, I mean, you just have such a nice future ahead of you guys. I'm so excited for you. I'm thankful to be, in your life and I'm thankful that you came onto the show again and pouring back into the business. So thank you so much. And maybe we'll do this again in another year from now. Would that be fair?
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Hold
me accountable. Thank you.
I will. Marlene, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your weekend. Okay.
Thank you.